What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Save Point Podcast, episode 26. I am one of your hosts, Alex, and I am joined, as always, by Sway. And oh boy, we are here. I think, in certain parts of the world, I believe people are playing Street Fighter. Diablo, you could play with if you do the pre-order for the deluxe edition and all that jazz. Sway, we've arrived at the next kind of phase. And also June 1st. So now we've entered what could be the busiest month, I think, of the year. I think the games that are coming out this month could match any of, like, Zelda's maybe bigger than anything, but quality, quantity, and then also all the shows. So many shows this month, from Summer Game Fest and Ubisoft and Xbox. So, well, firstly, how you doing? And we could even start, even if you want, with what we've been playing or what we're looking forward to, and then we'll talk organically about Street Fighter, Diablo, and take the chat. And thanks for being here, good sir. We'll have you back. That was not a one-time deal. You actually signed a contract and you didn't know it.
I've been pretty good. Honestly, I had intentions on playing a few games this week, and then AEW Fight Forever decided to just drop information, and I have been covering that nonstop all week.
Yeah.
So that is legitimately I'm trying to get to Spider-Man, but they keep dropping stuff. So
yeah.
How about you?
Well, I've done a lot of Overcooked. We had friends over that stayed over for a couple of days, so we started, went all the way through, and ended Overcooked. I am really trying to make progress on Yakuza 3, but let me tell. Can I just rant for like 2 seconds? That game is the worst. It's the worst of the four so far. So 0, Kiwami 1, 2, and 3. 3 is it's got the charm still. It is still Yakuza or Yakuza, but it is like nowhere near close. And also because it's what PS3 kind of era, I have been burned, and I quit last night. I was debating throwing the controller, but it's like $70. I got burned twice through the save system, right? Because you're used to it saving every 5 seconds, right? Like, that's a modern game. Well, 2 different times. One time, I lost about 30 minutes, and it was all cutscenes. So, like, you do a mission. It's no joke. I timed it twice because I had to redo it. It's 30 minutes of cutscenes, and then you fight. And I died in that fight like several nights ago. I said, all right, well, no big deal. I'll quit because I thought it saved me at that fight. Well, it saved me before the cutscenes. And you can't skip cutscenes in this game.
Oh.
So I was on my phone. I was just, the screen was going. It was a movie going on. And I was just on my phone waiting for the 30 minutes. Okay. Well, then yesterday, I got myself into arguably the worst pickle of all time. I went to one of the areas. You're looking for a girl. I tried to look it up online, like, where's the girl? I accidentally accepted a side quest to go after like an assassination target. And I didn't know that when you walk up on the assassination target, you cannot revert back to like a minute ago. So I like go to this assassination target. He's too hard for me. He's like, I'm not powered up enough. He beats me, and I cannot load the save of like 2 minutes ago. The only save I can load is from an hour before. And I didn't know that until I clicked it. So I clicked it. Now there's no way of getting back that hour. So I told my wife, I'm not doing this. I stood up. I said, I'm done. I'm finished with this game. So I lost an hour. So at some point today, tomorrow, I'm going to have to replay a freaking hour. Not cutscenes, just gameplay of that game. So that's what I've been up to. So Street Fighter needs to like. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to do that because tomorrow Street Fighter comes out and I'm locked in. Now, where are you on? What are you thinking? What are you thinking on Street Fighter? What's your plan of attack? You were the single Street Fighter fan on this show until I joined you, but you're still the superior. So, what you thinking for Street Fighter?
Oh man, because I was in the closed beta. And then I was in the open beta. Then I played the demo. So I feel like, and like my main was always available, which is Luke. So like it was constant practice. Even to this day, it was practice, like on the demo. So I think now I just really want to, because there's two. So Street Fighter tells its stories normally in 2 ways. Street Fighter 5 had the more cutscene oriented story mode. This game will have World Tour, where it's more like a casual tutorial with story experiences.
Yeah.
But the other portion, which is like what they traditionally have done, is if you go in the arcade and you beat each character's role, then that's where you get a lot of story beats too. It's very quick. It's
Yeah.
in text. It's text based, but that's where a lot of the story also comes from traditionally from them. So probably tackling World Tour is my first priority.
Yeah.
But before any of that, just seeing the different alternate outfits and things of that nature, just going through and just seeing what I can nerd out about before I fully embrace it. But I am so excited. I cannot be more excited.
Was this like going in? You had Hogwarts and Zelda and stuff. Where would you have put this, like on a anticipated list in the beginning of the year?
It's kind of weird because at the beginning of the year, I feel like I have felt like for example, if we're back in January, right?
Yeah.
Like Hogwarts Legacy is about to come out, so it's like my emotion is skewed in like this is
Yeah. It's
about
like
to come out right
proximity. It's like
now.
thing. Yeah.
Exactly, and it was the same thing for Jedi Survivor. Um, but Street Fighter is top five, probably top three favorite franchises of all time for me. It is a very special franchise, so I think that between that and I know I said for certain like AEW's game because of what they're emulating and what they're bringing back. Um, were two games that were always like these are like games that like I am super anticipating.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if I have to look at it now versus going back, I think my excitement level for Street Fighter trumps Survivor and Hogwarts Legacy pretty
Wow.
easy. Even Breath of the Wild, even like I think it does do that. Um Survivor was I'd say it's close.
Yeah.
I would say it's close.
Yeah. I was pretty
There's
like
nothing
going
different
in the
about it.
Jedi was kind of special
Yes.
that first day. I'm looking at my list because I wrote down like 40 games that were coming out like in the beginning of the year, and then I got it down to I think like 25 or 26, and I didn't write Street Fighter in the list of like 40. I didn't even write it, but now I put it quite high. Like the thing that's tough, and because we'll get to Diablo. I do want to talk about Street Fighter a bit too. Give Sway his time to shine here. Like Diablo. I think I'm more excited for Diablo, but Street Fighter comes first, and they're both two very different games. But
Mm-hmm.
it's actually kind of tough because well, at least now I'm thinking about it. It's like Diablo is so addicting. I don't know if you did the server slam, but I played Diablo 3, loved it, and I played the server slam, and I played for like 4.5, 5 hours nonstop. Like one night, I started at like 6, ended at like 11. Like it was lit, put my daughter to bed. Um, so like I just played, and I remember how addicting that game is, and just how good it is. So like I cannot wait to lose too much. And that was easy. It was easy to do those 5 hours. So like to do that every night is also going to be pretty easy. But then Street Fighter also is also it's separately strangely addicting. Like
Yeah.
I like, it's I'm not a fighting fan. All right, I never I guess was, but I've given Street Fighter its fair shake, and I'm super pumped for 6. Um, I think the fighting is legitimately good. I don't know how much I will do of the other things like World Tour. I'll probably do at least a little bit of it. Maybe it's something I'll go back to. But I think World Tour just kind of get my feet wet. Primarily, I guess, just play online. Try out the new characters, right? Because some of them,
Yes.
you know, even the characters we have, they're all still kind of new to me because I haven't, you know what I mean? Like Ken, Ryu, and like Chun Li, they're kind of like my 3 rotation. So I have some familiarity with those 3. But beyond them, like I played as Luke, but he would still be like a new character to me. So what's behind the curtain? A window, I
Uh,
think.
yeah, no window. I actually put my AC in, so like it is a little
Ooh.
holes like going out the
Oh, right there.
window.
Nice. Nice. It's getting hot over there.
Oh yeah, it's 80 degrees today.
Oh. It's
Yep.
raining
So,
every day here for the next like 10 days.
oh
So
my
no
god.
80s. No
You
80s
know what?
here.
That happened to us last month.
Yeah. Yeah, May is eight. Like I think just every month has been pushed because like May really is April. It rained as much as it should in April. June, it's raining literally like every day in June. It'll rain for like a couple hours and then stop. That's not normal, but no, I'll take it.
It's
But yeah,
Gotham
no,
City over there.
who are you? You said Luke. Do you
Mhm.
like? Will you do the rotation of like checking out every single character?
Oh, I'll definitely check out every single character. I
There's
like
what, eight? Is there 18? And they've given us
mhm.
8. So we got 10 ones that we haven't been able to play in the beta and stuff.
And I think that like I'm gonna try out each new character. I'm definitely gonna spend most of my time with Luke just to kind of master him.
Yeah.
My main in any Street Fighter game traditionally is Akuma, but he's not on the day one roster. He was a secret boss when he first debuted. So I feel like now they're doing this thing where we're gonna make him DLC every time, and
Yeah.
it's dreadful. But that is my main. And he's not here. But he's coming this time next year. So it's gonna be me and Luke until this
Holy
time next
Jesus.
year.
So I haven't
So
really
the
looked at
characters,
stuff. Go ahead. Go ahead.
uh,
I'm gonna ask you about DLC after.
the characters are gonna it's 4 characters in the first pack. They're gonna release in kind of waves. So I think that Rashid is
Yeah.
coming like in a few months, like a month to 2 months, like 1 to 2 months. He's coming. And then I know a character is coming later after that. I know one is coming in December, and I think or January, and I know Akuma is coming in April. So that's how they're gonna roll out the characters.
And that's just the
Um,
first pack.
that's just the first pack. But Street Fighter
Oh,
traditionally, if you've seen Five's roster at launch, and then you see what they ended with, it's
yeah.
insane. So they do normally have like a slower rollout, but once they kind of build, they really build. I think they said like it takes 2 months or 2 or 6 months to make a character fully like render it, make the moves for it, like all of it, put it together. Like takes about like 2 6 months. So with how detailed each of the characters are and with the drive system, I definitely believe it's probably taking them longer.
Yeah. Yeah. And you gotta make sure that I have great respect for, Dead by Daylight obviously gets a lot of controversy that I see on Twitter and stuff, but any game that has to add in killers or fighters or whatever, like, it's not just creating them visual, if they're new or if they're returning characters, you do have something to build off of, right? But you have to like make them in the modern technology, modern age. You got to update the moves or just make the moves. You got to render all that, but then you also have to make sure that they fit. You can't make a character that is just like you can tell they're better than everybody else. They have to fit in this ecosystem, which is again like for Dead by Daylight when they do it, or Texas Chainsaw or fighting games, like give them a lot of respect. But do you like that? Like I think 18. So I've never gone into these games, like Mortal Kombat. I can't tell you how many roster characters have ever been on a day one thing. I just don't care. But 18 sounds like a lot. The 5, I don't remember. Was it like 12? Wasn't it like a super low?
Yes, super low,
12
like
sounds, and it's
super
now
low.
over 40. So are you a fan though of them doing that? Like games in general, like starting not 18 is a lot bigger, right? Like you already have almost half of what you
I
have.
think 18 is fine, like for starting for
Yeah,
fighters. I think 18 is fine. But it is kind of weird, but I would prefer them supporting a game over, and this is where it's like certain genres should kind of do
yeah,
it's not live service, but you know what I mean, like support a game over time, because it's a lot easier to take in a fighting game that you're going to put down, come back to, put down, come back to,
yeah,
um and it's a lot easier to take in when you just gotta, okay, these characters come in, okay, I just
yeah,
gotta buy the character pack for this year. That's 100% fine with me. Like, so when fighters do it, I wish sports games would do it. That's 100% fine. When it's in my single player games and things like that, that's when I absolutely hate it. But
yeah,
um I don't mind it, but you do have to start off with a respectable number. I think that 18 is a respectable number. Anything I'd say lower than probably 16, 17 is kind of, I mean, 18 should be the status quo from now on, to be honest, but anything lower really is a disappointment.
Yeah. Why EA has never, here's what EA needs to do really quickly as a side thing for their sports games. Pick a year,
Yep.
and that'll be the year that you take 2 years to develop a game. And then just in that August, September, October for FIFA, Madden, NHL, just charge $10 for the next year's roster. And you keep the game. Yes, it is the same. Now you have to play one game 2 years in a row, which is annoying. And maybe they don't make the $1 billion back to back for Madden and FIFA like they do. But then that gives the team a whole lot. That gives them double the time. Imagine what they could do. And you know what I mean? I just don't know why that's not a thing.
Not to mention that sports gamers are a little bit different. I'm kind of
Yeah.
even seeing it with AEW,
Yeah.
where like the idea of them playing the same game is kind of unheard of. And I'm like, we have been doing this for years. You know, like some people have played Elder Scrolls for years. I'm not against a game that's Street Fighter 5. I've played that for years. It was rough the first 2 years. The first 2 years I actually did not. I picked it up, played it, put it down. I got the collector's edition for that game. So I had to wait for that game to get good. But I definitely think that it's one of those things where EA should definitely do it 100%. And it would, I feel like a lot of the like industry following forward from that, and it would get sports fans like used to that type of ecosystem because it's better for the development team and honestly it's better for the customer. You're not paying as much every year to get the same product.
Yeah. They sports fans, which for like NHL, I got like 13 years in a row or something. Like we have trained ourselves to accept failure and to
Yes.
accept just this. Like they get ripped off, and now that I don't really get NHL games anymore, I haven't in a while. But like Madden is probably the worst one, right? In terms of just like the reusing things. Those fans like just accept getting ripped off every year. So they can get mad on Twitter all that they want, but they every single year send the message, yep, we would like to get screwed over again. And they've done it just for like a decade. And it's like, all right. Well,
That is my sickness with that has been with WWE. I traditionally I haven't missed a single wrestling game release, just any wrestling game. Probably since the PlayStation 1. I have N64 games, but like I haven't like since I've been old enough to ask for like, hey, I want this. And then obviously when I got old enough to buy my own stuff, I've pretty much been able to stay on track and get each and every one of them. So for me, it's about the collection. But that's my sick. Like ever since 2K took over, I don't like the simulation aspect of it. I don't like how slow it is. There is times when the game is absolutely fun. The creation suite is absolutely nuts. But the company that actually created the foundation and the engine for those games are making this AEW game and are going to make it like the fun games that we used to have. And that's worth a lot more to me than what we're currently getting on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. NHL like nuked their sim side of things. And I played a game called East Side Hockey Manager, I think. And it is the most detailed, like numbers, like there's just so many like metrics and analytics going on. And that's exactly like because you manage your team, you manage the coaching staff and all this stuff. And I loved it. And then I just always like wanted that in NHL. And then I would go to NHL and their sim stuff got worse. Like it wasn't up to snuff already. And then it just kept getting more bare bones. Which I guess is fine if the game itself, right, is like. But the thing with all those, like I was getting mad in my head at NHL a few days ago, is you look at Madden, all these modes from like 8 years ago that were in it, then they take it away, then they put it back in like 8 years later, right?
I hate that.
And it's the same NHL. Maybe like NHL 13, 14, 15 was like the golden era. Like there was just and then they would just take these things away and never and NHL doesn't put them back in, so it's like, where those franchises have gone, it's sad. Quick hello to Scotty and AI Matrix, this will be the first Street Fighter I ever purchased. So basically, I'm going to take a lot of L's. To be honest with you, exact same for me. But I'll tell you, like, I don't know if you AI played the beta, but like I did rather okay. Like I probably it was probably 1-3. So every match that 1-2. Like for every match I won, I would lose 2. It wasn't like 50-50. It would be more like 33-66 for the other side. Because I did modern controls. I think modern controls gives us like a chance. Like I really do believe that.
Absolutely. And I was just about to say that too. Like there's so many ways for you to like entryways for you to get into this game and learn it. So you don't have to worry about like just totally getting beat on. Like the modern controls will kind of help even things out. The only difference is like you don't have complete access to your moveset and you do 20% less damage, but you're able to do moves like super moves without the full input. So for what
I
would
didn't
be
know the
like
20% less damage thing.
yes.
I found out yesterday because I made the video on Street Fighter. I don't even think I knew up until yesterday that not all the moves, but I kind of assumed because you look at the move list when you're looking at the modern controls and it's not that big. There's not that many. So I guess I should have subconsciously have known. But yeah, I knew that you don't have all the moves. I didn't know and then dynamic mode you can't even do, which is fair in multiplayer. Yep. But to be fair, here's where my disconnect will be. Here's what I'm worried about still is I feel like the point of modern controls is to get you like comfortable enough to then have you go to classic. And I'm still afraid that like I can't do it. You know what I mean? I'm still afraid that modern controls will make me feel able at to some degree. But then the game, again, because of the damage thing, because it's not all the moves, the game's telling you, all right, get familiar, but then you got to move to classic, Alex. And I'll say, no, I don't want to do that. That's still where I'm at. I don't know if I'll ever be able to jump. Maybe with a couple.
I do have a recommendation.
Okay, I was gonna say maybe with a couple characters because like you're not supposed to get good at all 18, right? You're supposed to pick like a couple. Yeah.
And have a main and like kind of like watch out for like matchups. Like for example, if you're Zangief, you might not like somebody. You might not want to go like pick Zangief if you're going against somebody that throws projectiles, because then it's like you're gonna have a really rough time. It's not that you can't win it. It's just like they have give and takes, and you're gonna have to really strategize around that.
That scares me now.
Dynamic controls is actually genius. The reason why I like dynamic for especially newcomers is because it basically has the AI play for you. But what it does is, say if you press an input. So say if you press the punch button, right? Then the AI, after you press that punch command, is going to then do a command of its own.
Yeah.
So basically showing you like, this is what you can chain together if you press this button, and then this is what you can do right after it. So it kind of teaches you that. So then if you go from dynamic to modern, I would recommend going dynamic to classic, because you'll have all your tools there. So you'll be able to use what dynamic is teaching you straight from classic, as to where like when you play on modern, it's different because you try to input a combo and the combo doesn't exist because modern controls.
Dynamic
is something I will look into.
I'll see. Like, so the thing that gets me, and it's again, like all this stuff is my fault because I'm not like talented enough. I wish there was something where, and I mean, this game has all those tutorial screens, so maybe there is something that I'm not aware of. But like when I'm in a match and I'll see like an online match, and then the opponent will chain together something, and I'll stare at that and be like, well, I know how to do that first part, but then how did he do that? I wish there was a way to just like take that in the game, like move it over to tutorial, and then which I don't think this is, it'll split it up and say, okay, here's exactly, the button prompts that'll get you there. Now, tutorial, I assume, can teach you how to chain things together, so you may see it, but I just wish there was something like that would be highly, you'd have to have like a replay save mode, and then where it can dissect the moves of your opponent.
I have a workaround for you. So what you can do is you're going to want to record like your gameplay when you're doing it, so you can go back and watch. But if you go in training, every input that you press is in the corner, like the right side,
Yeah.
and you can see it. So if you put the computer, if you turn the computer on and maybe you put it at level 8 and watch it do some amazing stuff, you're probably like, I'm getting destroyed on level 8. So like I can only like, if you do level 8, it's gonna obviously do some really great combos,
And
but
it'll
you're gonna
show you.
see how those combos are done.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what I would do, is I would go to the training, and then I would turn the computer all the way up, let it beat down on you, and then just get those inputs and just kind of see how it's chaining.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. Like like I said, I think I got like Chun-Li. From what I see, she's not a beginner character either, and I got
No,
pretty okay on modern controls. I was pretty okay as her. Ryu is more of a a basic character, so those will probably Ken's really cool, but Ken and Ryu are very similar. So I'll probably have to pick one of them and then do Chun-Li. And I'll probably just run through the new characters, and maybe the girl who I don't know how to like pronounce it, but the girl who was in the beta, who like stands on the one leg and she bounces a lot and she can do like kicks to keep you at a distance.
Jury.
Jury, is that how you say her
Yep.
name? Okay, I liked her a lot in 5. I kind of preferred her. In this, I just couldn't do it. I think it's because I couldn't get any combos going. She was an odd one because like when I saw her, I had I told you I had just I played 5 and I played like the demo like 2 days later, and I was like, okay, or the beta even maybe within like the week. And I was like, oh, I was okay as her. Like I think I won a match in Street Fighter 5 as her, which I never did. And then I tried her. I was like, what is this? What is going on? I couldn't do it.
It's an adjustment with her a lot. That's what I noticed about a lot of characters, like even Luke from Street Fighter 5 to 6. He's significantly slower, and chaining things together is different, but he's more powerful once you get it.
Yeah.
But it's getting everything to click in the right order, and that's kind of
How do you say the guy
relearning
who
this
starts
game.
with a G? Guile or
Zangief.
no? The bigger guy who like claps. He like sends a projectile. He's in the beta. It's like Gul.
Guile.
Guile.
Yep.
Guile. I just
He
want to
was
know
actually the
I just want to know how to
character.
say his name.
He was actually played by Jean-Claude Van Damme in the Street Fighter movie.
Wow. Wow. He seems kind of like all I can do with him is that clap wind attack thing. I don't like know, and he has like an uppercut. I don't know how to play as him.
He is going to probably give everybody the most trouble online.
Wow, really?
He is going to be the troublesome character.
I'm trying to. There's the more. So there's I forget her name already. The one we were just talking about,
Jury.
whatever. Yeah, and there's another guy who's more like bouncy. He was tough in the beta. Yeah, was he in the beta? He was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. People that were playing as him were doing some things to me that I've never seen before.
He confuses me. Like when somebody is really good with him, it is so confusing to like realize, okay, like when is it my turn to kind of strike back, or like when do I have an opportunity? It's not really like I'm trying to get space. He is a problem matchup for me no matter what I do. So I'm with you. I'm struggling with him and Guile.
I tried Guile, and I tried to play. I don't think I faced him once. I think I played as him once, and I was like, I couldn't like do anything. Like I don't think I even did that bad, but it was just my first attempt. It was just seeing what he could do, and Jamie, he was rough. There's some good Chun-Li's out there in the beta. Yeah, what are you playing it on? I don't think I've ever asked you. PlayStation?
So my collector's edition is coming for PlayStation, but I'm probably going to end up maining it on PC, but I'm getting it twice.
Oh my god. I'm doing PlayStation. I got $30 store credit, so I'm only gonna have to pay 30. I'm only gonna have to pay half. Diablo, do the entire thing. Which game do you think you have put the most hours into, including online? That's a fantastic question. I put more hours into GTA 5 than my degree. What was your... That's funny. What was your degree? What if his degree was like being a lawyer? That would be a lot of time in GTA. Most time. Go ahead, you do it.
Oh no, I was saying I believe it. I played GTA with him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For me, it's either okay. So it either have to be Rocket League, which I've put in 400 plus hours, which I think to a lot of people is actually nothing because I think people put in thousands of hours into games, and I
Oh,
don't know
for
how they do
sure.
it. I put 400 and maybe like 10 hours, 410. Fall Guys, I put hundreds, but it's not that high. And I actually said this yesterday in a tweet. I was in a thread with somebody. Sims 2 might be because Sims, I mean, I don't know my hours, but I know that from the age of like 10 to like 16, I would put an ungodly amount of time into Sims 2, specifically Sims 2. So although it didn't track my hours, I would love to do it. Like I'd love to like watch myself back in time because it probably would be the most played game. I think it would be that Sims, and then factually it would be Rocket League.
I think for me, the game there's one that I can't track, and there's one. It's actually Grand Theft Auto, the one that can track,
Yeah,
just because of how many years it's just been out.
yeah,
But the one that doesn't track is significantly. This was years and years ago, but this would be SmackDown versus Raw, the first one. And that's why I said like wrestling games, I could literally sit there and play all year round, all
yeah,
day. Because it's when they're good and they're so creative, they're chaotic. There's
yeah.
Easter eggs that you don't find until months later. There's just so much fun to be had, and it's never a bad replay cycle. So
See, if you
that
put
would for
all of
sure.
those games together, like all of wrestling games, you would have an ungodly. Which is that I as soon as you said WWE or SmackDown, NHL, I just had said it. NHL, if I added up those 13 years, it would be thousands. Because I want to
Thousands.
say, yeah, is like NHL 10 is was a nice number. That was the first NHL game I've ever played, NHL 10, and I played it for like 9 months, right? So like I think I played it so much, but the reality is I probably did put maybe 200 or so hours in, but then I got NHL 11. So does NHL 10 beat, say, Rocket League? Probably not. But if you add up 2 or 3 years of NHL games, I beat Rocket League. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think a sports franchise, I think NHL would have been it. Yeah. The amount of time we lose. I mean, I don't really look at it like losing it though, right? Well, maybe some of it. Like maybe NHL. I missed out on a lot of games, I feel like, because I no joke probably did put thousands of hours in. I didn't play any of the Yakuza games growing up or just any game I guess that I missed. Like I wasn't super into the Bethesda side of things and all that. So maybe sports games kind of stopped me from doing some things, but at the same time, you live life. All sports games could just convert to free to play live service games with new seasons instead for sure. Yep. Yep. They probably could get away with that for, I think eventually, like, I don't know, if you want to like overhaul it, can you do that to a live service game? To an extent, I think you can, right? But maybe not fully. I
I
don't know.
think, and honestly, AEW is actually doing that with their game. It's not free to play, but it's going to be supported for years and years to come. It's not an annual release. They're going to add new match types, obviously new wrestlers, new features to the game. So it's, I think that's if everything works and it's a financial success, that's the first domino.
Until they until they say, oh, it didn't meet sales expectations and we have
Yep.
to
Then
do
that's yep.
and we have to cancel it after 1 year.
Oh man, I'd hate that.
I mean, I'm going to do a video next week on Knockout City because actually that game it's going offline. The servers are being taken down. I think next Tuesday, like they're this
Oh man.
upcoming, like in 5 days. And it's like that game last. I think that game came out in 2020, like June. So it lasted 3 years, and it's I don't know. Like a world without Knockout City is maybe not the saddest world, but we've seen like Rocket League and Dead by Daylight and Fall Guys even, but Fall Guys was 2020. Like imagine in like 2-3 years some of those games are gone, right? Like that it's kind of insane. Um
Fall Guys, I'd be shocked, man. It seems like it never
Well, I've done
loses.
some research. I don't think Fall Guys is nearly as popular as they make it out to be, like modern day. So yeah,
Ah,
I actually just did a video yesterday on Fall Guys. Yeah, um, Cammy and Zangief. That's how you say it.
yep.
That's what I mean. I've seen the stuff for Cammy. I've definitely seen the stuff for Cammy on Twitter.
Cammy. Capcom is
I think I
leaning
played as
into
her
it.
in 5. I think she was fine. I didn't she wasn't like the most amazing or like the weakest. See, the thing with I had said it for Jules or whatever, however you say her name. I'm just gonna mess up their names on purpose now. So when I played 5, I only was okay at bouncier characters, like ones like her that like stand on one leg. Then when I played 6, like I said, like I couldn't play as her, and I got pretty good, primarily at Ryu, Ken, and Chun Li. Chun Li being probably the most different of the other two, but more like grounded characters, but not heavy, right? Like would you class it? There's like those
Yeah.
super heavy characters, then there's more grounded ones, and then there's ones that are super bouncy and do slides and backflips to get away and all this stuff. Like those.
Yep.
That's how I kind of in my head like those 3 different groups.
No,
So
that's
it's
a
just
very good way.
odd. Yeah, it's just odd. In 5, I was into the bouncier ones, and then in 6, it's more of the grounded ones. But neither of them have I been into like the brutes, like the ones that are 10 feet tall and all that
Oh
stuff.
yes.
I can't do it.
Their grapple. Well, Marissa isn't grapple heavy, but Zangief is. But Zangief can finish you probably if he gets a hold of you. He can finish you in probably like 2-3 slams.
Holy Jesus!
Yeah, so it's just about like once you really like get good with them. Oh, they're terrifying, but
Yeah.
they're easy to deal with though. It takes skill to really learn how to use them. But boy, if you know how and like know
Yeah.
how to strategize your matchups, oh, it can be a nightmare.
That's a special thing with Mortal Kombat and Justice, like the characters that are harder and an average Joe wouldn't be able to do it, but once you get good, like those characters are elite, but you have to really try. Um, Wicked, what's going on, buddy? Got tomorrow off, so I'm playing Diablo all night. Nice. I don't know. I debated for maybe like 10 minutes, I'll be honest, the deluxe edition, but I think at the end of the day, because I'm getting Street Fighter, there's no, you know what I mean?
No,
Play Diablo today, and I'm seeing Across the Spider-Verse tonight. So like,
same.
yeah, what's your show time?
Oh man, my show time is at 6.
Mine's 5:15. So I think, well, you would see it first because you're ahead of me in time. I'm pumped. But like to play, to play Diablo for one day, one night, half a night because of Spider-Verse, and then do Street Fighter for the weekend. Like, when am I supposed to do Diablo again? I think it kind of works where I'll do Street Fighter like 3-4 days every day, and then I'll be able to kind of like step back, do Diablo. The thing that's going to be tough is then when you introduce like the next one, right? Because really Diablo and Street Fighter could probably get you through June on their own. But you have Crash, and then you have 2 days later Final Fantasy, which is Crash is in such a bad spot. To be honest with you, Crash is in a real bad spot.
Can I just say that I am proud of Diablo and Street Fighter. These are 2 franchises that at one point, whether they're recent or far, had their fan base worried. And to see
I think Diablo still has concern of like the future.
Yeah,
it's like what we have is great, but I think a lot of people are terrified of what they can
of what
do.
can do.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, that is always the worry was like what can you do to mess something up, or like it's good now, but what are you gonna do later? But like just living in the moment, like these 2 franchises that just they have had a epic comeback right now. And it's just great to see that not only fan wise these are being received well, but critic wise is on the same page, which is kind of getting rare now. That you know what I'm saying? So it's I love that for both games. And man, I want more of that. Like,
did you see the graphic of the year where all those games in the high 80s and how good of a received year it's been? Yeah, for like a year that's had Forspoken, Redfall, and Gollum, it's had some like atrocities, But then on the other side of things, it's had a lot of very highly thought of. Not that doing these critic scores means next to nothing. All these games getting in the high eights, but it's still. I mean, this year has been. It's kind of been all over the place because it has had some abysmal, like Gollum. I would say Gollum and Redfall. I don't really want to put Forspoken. I don't think it deserves it, to be honest with you. I think Forspoken is not good, but I don't think it's Redfall and Gollum. And I also think it'd be disrespectful to say Redfall and Gollum are the same, because I think Redfall is better than what I've seen from Gollum is the worst. Then there's a gap. Then there's Redfall. Then there's a gap, and then there's Forspoken. That's what I would say, for this year. And then there's everything else. But there's also been like a year where we've had big gaps in time. Zelda, but before it there was nothing. Resident Evil, and before that. Let's do this because it's just. Do you know this answer? Is Vega in the game?
No, not at launch. At least nothing's been announced. Not in the first DLC pack either. So
wait a year.
Wait a year.
Have you seen the new Avalanche job openings? I have not. I saw them.
I have not.
I saw them like several weeks ago. But if there's anything juicy, either you can let us know here, Mike, or I'll look it up after this. I actually just did. If it's big enough, I'll do a video on it after this show. I just did a Hogwarts video that I was going to put up on the channel today, but if that one's bigger, you got to prioritize what's bigger. See the Spider-Man stuff, Sway?
Yes, I did. Oh, my God. How do you feel about that?
We were right? We had Mr. Wayne on last week, and we literally laid it out, and we were like, exactly. Now, it wasn't too
right
hard
on the money.
Yeah, I think we deserve a clap, but not too hard to predict. But no, that's one thing I skimmed over it because I saw that. So there's 3 skill trees, right? One for each, and then one that they share. I didn't see the sharing one when I skimmed it over, and then the map being double the size. Yeah, it's
That's
exciting.
Insane. That is insane. It is. I'm very excited about that. Like, I honestly was mentally prepared to like not be able to transition between the two until the end of the game. I am glad that worked out that way.
Yeah.
I do have concerns for the story, specifically for me personally. In comic books that have Peter and Miles in the same universe, it takes a lot away from the story from both characters.
Yeah. How do they balance? And there's like the whole Miles debate online. I'm not gonna, I don't want to really get into that, but there is, I think, a fair enough argument that Insomniac's Spider-Man, he got a game, and Miles was in that game, right, in the first game, but he was, you played as him, but not as, not as the web swinger. And then in the second game, they're immediately changing it to maybe it's 50-50, maybe it'll still be more Peter. What do you think about that argument? Because I've seen people argue like, well, Peter is not even going to get his game because Miles is in it. You can go down the whole Miles debate online, and that's a whole like controversial thing. I think that argument is a little bit more solid, especially if it's more 50-50, because Miles did get his own game. Peter did, but Miles was in it, and you play as MJ. So like we've never really gotten just a Spider-Man game from this version,
That is when it comes to Spider-Man medium right now, Spider-Verse has always existed, but the push of Miles, I think, at the expense of Peter, and this is what has rubbed a lot of the comic book fans the wrong way too, is that you can have both, but in the same universe, it's not. If you look at it, like even comic book wise, Miles has all of Peter's villains. A lot of the stories that he goes through is a lot of things that Peter has already done. He doesn't have a separate name. He's just Spider-Man, which makes sense when he's in another universe like he's supposed to be. But when you put him in the same universe as Peter and you have them both walking around as Spider-Man. So when you get to the video game, yeah, like I kind of do feel like that, because in Miles's game, at the very beginning, Peter is just, you go through the mission with Peter, and what is the first thing that we see? Peter gets knocked out by Rhino, and then Miles has to handle it. And then Peter swings off, and you never see him again. You don't have any missions where you play as him. But Peter in his game had to share with Miles and MJ. MJ is fine, and I would say that Miles is fine. But this game, to me, and I think to a lot of people, we just wanted three good Peter Parker games. And then if you wanted to hand it off to Miles after that, that's 100% fine. But now it's like you're trying to really give Miles the franchise, it feels like, and slowly take that over. And it's not going good right now with the comic books.
Yeah.
It's not going good in other forms. And it's not about anything else other than Peter is the character. That is Stan Lee's favorite creation. That is a lot of people's favorite creation and comic book character. Uh Tied for one for mine. And that is something that I have noticed. I don't speak on it because I know a lot of people, they're going to
Yeah.
feel strongly both one way or another. But as a lifelong comic book fan, seeing what's happening to all of Spider-Man medium, like it's not, that's something that's not even just felt in the video games. That's felt everywhere with the IP right now. And that's something to keep an eye on, but that is
Yeah.
something that's my concern.
Yeah, well, this is one passing of the torch thing that's maybe more difficult than there's a lot of years of stats and
Mm-hmm.
things of I mean he arguably like Spider-Man and Batman, maybe Superman, would you say those are like the
Mm-hmm.
top three for like
Yep.
superheroes just in general, and maybe Spider-Man's the number one. I don't know if
He is the number
you,
one.
you think
He's number
so
one.
that's and Peter Parker, right? So that's
Yep.
and it's okay. Like Miles, I like Miles. I like the
I like
game
Miles
stuff.
too. I love him.
Yeah. I
Got a
like the
statue
game
back there.
version. It's just he's right there. But yeah, handing it off too quickly when you never really, again, because can people really say, Peter got that full first game? I don't know. He kind of
No.
did, but you play as a lot of MJ missions, and then you play as Miles, so he didn't. And then he really didn't.
And what they have to stop doing is making Peter look less than Miles. That they have to stop doing that. Like I said, like the first mission you play in Miles Morales, Peter couldn't handle a villain that he's already fought in the first game.
Yeah,
So Miles had to come through and handle it. Or like even with the powers, like Miles is fun to play, and to a lot of people, it's much funner to play than Peter. So when I see that both of them have wingsuits, I'm like, this was your time to make the characters unique.
yeah,
Because that's one thing I did notice is that a lot of people were saying that Miles was much more fun to play than Peter was. So obviously Peter would be the gadget person because he doesn't have every power in the book. So, but when you give that to Miles and he has every power in the book, you're still making Peter inferior from a gameplay perspective to Miles. Now you gave him the symbiote, but you gave Miles every other upgrade that Peter's going to have. So it's
yeah.
like
See, it's gonna be
it's something that I noticed.
yeah, and I wanted to. We'll lead into this, and maybe this is where we'll end it. So they talk about that they're both in that article. They say that they want it to feel familiar, but also feel different. But the thing that I wonder, especially like with the switching of them and all that stuff, is well, you have to arrange the story. Like, I wonder how many story missions are going to be to either. But when the game ends, do you get the symbiote back? Or is that just something and then if that's not true, if you don't get it back, then at the end of the game, you're playing as Miles and Peter, and you're going around, and then like Peter will have that suit that we saw in the CG trailer, I imagine, right in 2021. And is that unique enough to make them separate, like for the end game when you're finishing up the side quests and stuff? I wonder. It could be a question to you, but I just wonder how that stuff is going to work.
That is I would like to see Mr. Wayne's take on that. Definitely, but I would think that the suits I would imagine that that's just something that you can just have as an ability at the end. I do see a comment here saying that I would say it's a team upgrade. That adds into like exactly what I was talking about before, which the symbiote should not go to Miles. It should not be playable with Miles. Miles can camouflage. Miles has a venom blast. Miles has every gadget that Peter has. There is nothing really unique. I'd say it's more challenging to play as Peter. So for people who has like a challenge, having to balance those gadgets, I would say that that's more. But like having that symbiote on Peter and only Peter, that as far as I'm concerned right now, that's the only thing that makes them different at the moment.
Yeah. Well,
And
I
that
never.
is
By the way, I never said the first game wasn't a Peter Parker. I said the only character. Because you do, and I don't think that's true. There's several MJ. Is there 3? There's several MJ missions that people hated, by the way.
mm-hmm.
And then the Miles mission is pretty. Now, I forget. Do you play as Miles more than once? You play it with the explode when he loses, with the ceremony. You play as him again too, right?
Yep.
There's 2 times. You play as him twice. You play as MJ. I want to say 3 times. So it's not all. It's very much a Peter Parker game, but it's not entirely.
I think what we're saying is that Peter has to share the spotlight.
Yeah. I don't even know if I care too much. I've just seen that argument. I can understand because there's people that will say, I'll do it. I'll be the controversial one. There'll be the ones that say like Miles is Miles and Peter is Spider-Man, right? Miles is Spider-Man. I don't care. But we can go into that. I kind of think he is Spider-Man, but the origin story is very similar. There, you can go all into it. But so I'm saying go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying, and a lot of problems would be solved. A lot of people would have those problems solved. Miles was made in the Ultimate Universe. The Ultimate Universe was not canon to the 616. So he was from a different universe.
Yeah.
His Peter Parker died, so there was never 2 Spider-Man swinging around. That is literally if they separate them, you would have a lot less of that because you have a lot of legacy fans that are going to prioritize Peter first. I love Miles. You love Miles. But what I mean is that like what we mean by like that game is like a not completely a Peter game. You're instantly setting up something that you're not even like doing 3 games down the line. You gave him a game and then you gave Miles a game directly after. He's not what you're setting up is for Peter to not have a complete feature of his own games. And that's what we're more getting at is like it was not his own game in that aspect. Because when you're going to look at when all 3 games are said and done and they all come out when the trilogy is out, you're going to look at that and you're going to go, 2018 was technically his only game.
Yeah.
And it was setting the groundwork to become what it was. And that's why you see that divide there. They need to separate them. Having their own games was a good start, but you have to separate them. He has his own story. He has his own story. So if you're going to have the Spider-Verse thing at the end, allegedly, that's the perfect opportunity to send them off into different universes. I think that's a good way to stop the divide between the fans.
Yeah. But using what you just said, and then could Gwen be a playable character? That's a good question. I was just thinking this. So, I've played now 4 of the Yakuza games. And one of the things they do, right, as these games go on, well, sometimes you'll play as 2 of them. Sometimes you'll play as like 3, 4, 5 of them. But you'll always have Kiryu. I think that's how you say it. Or I always forget the I in his name, like the middle I. But you have your main character. You have Majima. But like you rotate that secondary or third or fourth character. So it's always Kiryu, if that's how you actually pronounce his name. So I'm saying for like Spider-Man is if you have Peter, then you have Peter and Miles. Now, if Miles goes off and he can still have his own games, and then maybe in the 3rd game, you have Peter, MJ, and Gwen, right? And it's like, so even though it's still not just his game, he is the central like fixture of all of them. He carries, which is exactly what Yakuza did until Like a Dragon, right? I think that would work. I think with the multiple spider people or whatever, I think that would actually be kind of cool. So I don't know if they would do that though, to be honest. I think Miles and Peter I think they'll be in the 3rd game together as well. Maybe even with a 3rd character. Yeah. I think that could very well happen. And then in that case, that's not the same as what Yakuza did. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting conversation, isn't it?
It is. It definitely is. Like it's always a good time, like getting into the the comic book of it all. But like, soon as you had a topic, I was like, man, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's tough. It's tough um, to talk. I mean, people have such very strong, and
Yeah,
it's such a popular franchise and such a popular character that you're going to attract the most like popular statements or demands or expectations. Like all that stuff comes with it. It's tough. The good news is it's one game. It's a very anticipated game from both of us, and we'll talk a load about it. But we also talk about other things, and I'm not going to lose my entire life just to Spider-Man. I'll lose it to probably will lose it to Starfield and Mortal Kombat first because they'll come out first.
yes.
They'll need a release date for Spider-Man. Sweat. I think this is good. That was a good closure. We went through the
Yep.
character arcs here. Do you want to say anything as a send off? And Diablo. I know we barely touched on Diablo, but that's on Tuesday, and I cannot wait. And Wicked, if you friend me or whatever on message me on Twitter or Discord or whatever, if you want to play, we'll definitely do it. I think it's just saying Diablo, Street Fighter. Yeah.
This is a very good weekend for gaming. I want you all to just play games, enjoy games. Don't get in any Twitter beef, anything like that. That's all. We got it Across the Spider-Verse today. We got or tomorrow for some of you. We have Diablo next week. We have Street Fighter tomorrow, and we just got such a great list of
Next
things
Thursday,
to play right
Summer
now.
Game Fest, lots of stuff.
Yes, we are here. Gaming is here. Whether that's news or the actual games being out themselves. So everybody have a good day and just stay
play
peaceful.
A game. play a game or watch a movie. No, yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys being here. I guess we can quickly say for like the diehards and if people watch the video afterwards. So next week we're probably going to go live on Tuesday. The next 2 weeks, actually, we're going to move it a few days earlier, so it won't be on the Thursday. I'll still co-stream Summer Game Fest and stuff. The Thursday after, I'll be like out of commission. But that's the plan the next couple of weeks. Okay, so we'll still do live. We got a couple left, and then July will be the pre-recorded stuff that we've already done. It's already ready to go, and then we'll be back for live stuff in the middle of July. I think that's everything for the planning, like where the shows go. Right. All right, guys.
All bases are covered.
Yeah. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you all on the next one.